So, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome back to another podcast with the family of brothers, the band of brothers. Of course, Gabriel is here, all the way in Australia, and of course, Ricardo is also here, but in London. Ricardo, how's your week been?
And I've been amazing, super busy. Great things happening in my personal space, and yes, super happy to be here, back again. And you guys.
Yeah. And Gabriel, how's your week been? How have you been since last?
Yeah, pretty good. Busy week. I'm sort of striving for some more challenges. That's what I'm doing. So I'm just setting that in motion. So yeah, it's been a good week. Yeah,
nice one. So you can see cash flow. That was the part of the thumbnail actually. If you wanted to kind of clue what we're going to be talking about, well, Gabe was going to be doing the usual stuff. I was just saying to him that the presentation again is top quality, really good quality. But you're going to see that the content of what we're going to be talking about and discussing the cash flow quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki. There has been a couple of questions, but I'm going to leave those questions for the end of the podcast. So, Gabriel, over to you.
All right, let's start. So. All right, so I remember we've had obviously a few calls previously, and people were talking about, what do I, things about investments and things like that. We're saying we can't really talk, we can't really give investment advice. All we can say is give information, right? And information is key. So once you're informed with information, then you can then make an informed decision as to whether you want to invest in certain instruments. So what I want to tell you about here is basically Robert Kiyosaki. Now he's well known for him writing the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the reason the Rich Dad Poor Dad came up was here we are. Yeah, that's him there. The reason why the Rich Dad Poor Dad came up was because he had his dad, right? His real dad. And his real dad was a professor, and then he had his best friend's dad, who was an investor, right? And he basically built invested in and then built in a major properties like a hotel and but he started small with small properties and then built up to hotels. So the concept here where it came to Rich Dad Poor Dad. So he used to call his real dad the poor dad, and then his friend's dad the rich dad, and his rich and the rich dad who also taught him how the rich or the people, just to say how the people became wealthy, how certain people, and how to actually go about doing that, and what he did based on his experience, and he showed it. So he taught him from a young age what he needed to do, and one of the main things he told him was that in order for you to start, you have to learn to work for no money. That was a story there. You need to learn how to work for no money, right? So what that means is you got to put some work in, learn it, and you're not being paid for it. And you go, and he was looking, he's looking at his rich dad and said, "Well, I'm not going to do that. Why, why not?" And he said, "Well, this is the way you have to start." And that was a lesson, and it set him up for success all the way down the line. And now,
I don't want to interrupt you guys, but because I've read the Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and what I find interesting is that sometimes you believe or you think that maybe your mother or your father or maybe your siblings or maybe your close friends might be the ones who are going to inspire you, but it wasn't his dad who inspired it. It was his friend's dad who inspired him to become, the person that he is today, isn't it?
Yep,
that's really, really interesting.
Really interesting, yeah. And obviously he became very successful investing in businesses, in property, and all that stuff. And the main thing, what he was, and then what he did from that. I mean, there's a whole aspect of his story, which we can't explain in this particular, because of cognizance of time. But here's the basics, which I'm going to show you here. And basically, he came up with the cash flow quadrant, right? And what this really does, in basic terms, explains certain income, how we cut it into four, and it basically depicts the income earners and how these particular let's say individuals actually earn income, right? So let's understand those four types. Next one. Right. So an employee, and then I'm sure we all understand what an employee does, and this is no surprise. It's an individual who works for others and earns a paycheck or wage. Income is generally stable, comfortable, but limited to salary or hourly wages. Right. So, but the thing is, most importantly, is employees trade time for money and have less control over their income. And what that actually means is, you're a certain amount of hours you work and you're paid for those hours. Anything over that, over the hours, I mean, let's face it, you've only got a certain amount of hours in a day, right? So you're not going to work, whether you want to work for 24 hours and have no sleep. I just don't think you can maximize that. You can ever get to that. But, mainly most people work about 8 hours or sometimes 12 hours if they really, want to work those long hours too, actually. But as you know, a certain amount of time is all you've got in order for you to work. So you're working for money. So that's the most important thing you need to understand, right? And obviously, based on working for an employee, you have less control over your income. So they set a wage for you, and whatever you're paid for overtime and anything, that's all set. Anything, it doesn't go over and beyond that. Mm-hmm. So that's the next thing. So next one is a self-employed, right? Self-employed. So somebody who's basically, as we know, who's become a probably very, very skilled or well knows their field or the vocation, whatever industry they're in, or profession, I'll say. And the individuals, and what they do is they obviously work for themselves as freelancers or small business owners. So they have a small business or something like that and work for themselves. So they own it. And that income is higher, but it requires more time and effort, right? And then the self-employed individuals have more control. That's the key to it. It has more control, but you also face some more risk, i.e., what happens if you have a small business, you have a few people and you're not there, you've got to make, sometimes most of these people have to be there to actually make sure that the self-employed person has to be there, who's got his own little business, has to be there to make sure it's all running, right? Not there, or something happens, there may not be any income, right? So that's why when you look at this, you go, okay, right, that's one individual. It has that particular risk. So obviously, the next thing is to move to the next step, and this is where it gets more interesting. Right?
Yeah, Gabs. Again, I don't want to cut in, but I just kind of had an observation again when I was reading the book, looking at the quadrant. It's possible, isn't it, to be both an employee and self-employed? No. I'm just thinking, because so Ricardo, you are in this project. I know we started doing the presentation last week, and you had to go early, unfortunately. But I'm thinking, so with Planet Marketing, that gives you the opportunity to be to work as an employee, but also be self-employed. Is that not right?
Yes, kind of. You are your own boss. You know, you're gonna dedicate your own hours to your business, but at the same time, you have a little bit more control about what's going on. So it's a combination of two, but the only thing is you are your own boss. It's your business,
Yeah, so that's very interesting as well. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can be an employee, and at the same time, you could have another separate thing that you're setting up as your own business, right? The whole idea. This is what I mean. Thanks for the pointing it out, because obviously that was the next thing I was kind of thinking of to chat about, is that you decide that, okay, I really want to start moving into a self-employed and in the business, so that I do have more control over time, because to the point where that income that I then produce from that overtakes this income, and then I can just drop I can drop the employee, right? The whole idea. Yeah. So it depends where, it's also a means to an end, where being an employee is a means to an end. Yeah. Right. So, and this is the next one for the next step, right? Now you become a business owner, right? So you now own the business. So as I said before, so you have a small business, or you be a freelancer, or you're a freelancer and you have a small business and everything like. So you might have just yourself, and then you've got, and then you've got other things. Maybe you might have one or two people who sort of work for you for a couple of hours or whatever, and things like that. That's the self-employed. But when you become a business owner, it's a totally different thing, because you actually own the business, right? That's one, right? That actually works for you, right? So, for instance, when you are actually away, or you go on holiday, or you have to go somewhere important, like on a trip or whatever, right? Your business still runs. So it still takes care of itself. That's the whole difference here, right? Compared to just being a self-employed, right?
But that's depending on the system, isn't it, Gabs? Because if you are a person who, when you go away, you like to close everything down, that's not a system literally that's working properly, isn't it? Because like
exactly,
you say, when you're away, you want to make sure the business is still running.
Yeah, that's right. When you're talking about building a real business, right? That's what it should be, that's what it should be. And people always think, okay, yeah, I've got a business I'm running. Okay, yeah, good. But is it a business that is really built and it's got leverage? Is it that kind of business? And most people think that when you question that, and they go, well, I still got a business. Yes.
You know what? It reminds me of the film The Founder, when McDonald's came with the idea about a 24/7 business. You get a kid and you throw it away. You will never close.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So very interesting, you know what I mean? So and this is it. You got all the people, as you look at the picture, all these, that lady there is the business owner. She's got all, and the business, and they all the individuals around there, plus more, are part of the business. She goes away, and everything. They take care of the business, and it runs itself. That's it. That's it. And at the same time, you know what I mean? When we talk about real business here, it's generating income, because whether it's the shareholders or however the money is gone, but the money's been taken because there's revenue, there's from there, then there's profits, all that stuff, and it runs itself. So that's another thing. So we know several types of whatever business it could be. A business like a bakery or a restaurant, or those kind of things. Like you can see, like someone who owns a restaurant goes off. He's probably doing strategic deals and working out how it's going to do in order to expand and everything like that. So when he goes away and everything like that, or he have to, and so it doesn't matter, because you've got the chef and the waitresses and all that, all taking care of the restaurant and running itself. So things like that. That's one example.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and as I said, sorry, just go back there. And as I said, the quadrant that offers more freedom and high income potential. Right, that's it. Pretty good. But as we know, let's not kid ourselves. There is obviously risk involved. Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. Yeah. Now, this is something else, right? Where it becomes the investor, right? So an investor is immediately invest money to make more money, right? So what they do is they could buy businesses, they could buy real estate, they could buy stocks, shares, it goes on. And what they do is they build up a portfolio of investments. That's what they do in order for them to, and once you've done that, all those investments produce income, right? So when I say income, is that what happens is that they make profits, right? So what they do is in a lot of them, they probably buy low, sell high, come back in, buy, and all those, that's a lot of things. Same with, real estate. You buy a real estate, whatever the real estate is, it's low, at a low price. And then when it comes to a time where the property is appreciated, then they'll sell it and they made a profit. And then they use that profit to reinvest into other things. But at the same time, obviously, produce an income for things. So let's also look at the other thing as well. Not even just about that. It's about when you buy these stocks and shares and everything like that, you also get, whether it's dividends or it's actually even from the real estate, whether it's the money that's producing you cash flow, all these can produce you cash flow, right? Cash flow every day. So every day you're getting income from these investments that you make. And that's how they hold you under. So it doesn't matter whether you're asleep, whether you go away and everything. These are just totally running themselves, right? They're giving you income every day. It doesn't matter whether you're sleeping, you go off on a holiday. They're completely running themselves. So this is the obviously the ultimate goal that most of the world get to, and that's what it is. You know what I mean? Total, the leverage of time is amazing because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it just goes. It becomes exponential, in terms of the investments they make and how much money they make. It just goes on. If they keep, thinking, okay, you know what, I've made the profits to this time around, I'm going to reinvest into this particular chain, and it goes on and on and on. That's all they most of these investors do. Apart from, again, we have to understand that it's a knowledge, understanding the investment instruments that they get it into, knowing what is going to produce them the income that they desire, right? Right. So this is how we talk about passive income. Now, I allude to what Ricardo spoke about last week. I think it was last week, wasn't it? About the I'm talking about the travel business. Sorry, there we go. Travel business. Yeah. Yeah. Again, so a thing. Start with, that looks like something. What I do like about that is that it's something where, people talk about businesses and they go, oh my God, I've got to put so much money up to build, to actually put some money down, get an advance from the bank and get on it. Traditionally, yes, those businesses, but there are also other types of business which, doesn't require so much capital to start with. You start small and build it up to be a big business. And these one of those kind of businesses, what Ricardo alluded to. And at the same time, once you've built it to a certain level, right, it becomes a business that actually runs itself as well, right? Because you've got all the tools and things there. I believe once you put the hard work in and everything like that, literally things just, income and everything starts to come in, whether while you sleep, right? I believe so. So that's what it is. So that's one. The other types of, so that's obviously a networking type business, and that's how they work, and it's very little capital. And so that's one type of business that we talk about in terms of that. So there we go.
But you know what, Gab? So again, just referring back to the book, the main theme, the topic of the podcast is the cash flow quadrant. when Robert is talking about your liabilities and lists all the liabilities and your house is a liability, I didn't think of it that way, that your house is one of your biggest liabilities. I was thinking, no, it's an investment. It's not an investment. It's a liability, isn't it, Gabs?
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so people and look, it's just the way we're educated. So the thing is, yeah, it was the main thing is, again, when we go back to his story, right? His rich dad said they don't teach you at school. They don't teach you about money, what money really is. They don't teach you that. They turn around and say, look, your house, your house is an asset. It's not. It's a liability.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you really own it.
Mm-hmm.
Until you really own it, and not only that, on top of it, you own it, and is it producing you income? That's an asset.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Understand what asset means. It means it's producing you at least the one thing, you own it and it's producing you an income. That's an asset. All right. So yeah, the banks turn around and say, well, how many assets you don't go to the bank and they say to you, kind of just list your assets. You know, you can just turn around, you know, if you were being really smart and cocky, you just turn around and say, well, my only asset I've got is my stocks and stocks that I own and they produce me income. So what about your house? Just look at them and go, that's not an asset.
It's a liability.
Look at you. What do you mean it's not an asset? That's an asset. I don't know. It's not. Yeah. Always yeah. They look at you. Well, who's this smart ass there? Yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, that's it. It's amazing what we have to understand. What is a liability? Anything that you don't own, anything that well, let's say cars are liability, right?
Yeah.
It's not producing your income. It's appreciating asset. I don't call it a depreciating thing we own of value, particular value, and then it just depreciates. Certain things you own. So anything you own and it's giving you income, it's producing your income, that's what we call an asset, really and truly. That is true investor terminology.
Yeah. Ricardo, there's again, there are some questions. I'll put the questions up now, but I'll start in reverse order. So this is the question from the English Conversation Company. Ricardo, wasn't there a specific book you recommended? Did you recommend? I think you did. Did you recommend the book from the first?
Yeah, I think there were books that I go out of my shelf and I will share with people. But there is actually one. It's a shame I'm not home at the moment. There is it's quite a small book. It's an easy read called Beach Money. If anyone here can get it, it's just called Beach Money, and it's about these type of businesses that you need to get into where you generate passive income, but you could do the business from anywhere in the world. So I would recommend that little book, Beach Money.
Spell beach.
Beach. I'm going to the beach.
Go to the beach.
It was beach. You said sorry. Yeah, it was beach. Okay, it was. Yeah, before I misheard that. Yeah, Beach Money.
It's called Beach Money. Amazing book. Simple.
Yeah, that's the way I can imagine. Beach Money. Is that somewhere where you can sit at the beach
and just earn the money, right?
See your money rolling in, right? Looking at it.
But again, Gregory, I mean, with this presentation, I mean, I took my notes. So I was like writing down stuff. And man, when you're talking about the investor, you just remind me again. People think that McDonald's is successful because they sell the burgers. They don't realize that McDonald's is a real estate.
Real estate. Yeah.
Right? People don't see that they own the land. This is where they make the money. It's not about the burger.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
They invest.
Absolutely.
That is how they make the money. And the other thing is, again, what you mentioned before, is that having the ability to open outlets everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm living that from that passive income. So I think sometimes it's just there is a little in terms of financial education, and people really don't understand money. People don't understand money.
Yeah.
Period.
You have to.
But that's down because we've never been taught. We've never been taught.
Yeah.
When I was in secondary school, we were never taught that.
Yeah.
We never taught that. So, But we should not use that as an excuse. You know,
No.
I mean, we're you know,
we have to go and understand, learn about it. And when you understand it, I tell you this, you then don't become a slave to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do not become a slave.
You truly understand it. You do not become a slave to money, and that's the other thing. See what I mean? So you understand it. You want to be the one in control of it, rather than it controlling it, because you know what I mean. It's then you start thinking differently. You know what I mean? You know, when you're short of money, sometimes you go, you know, don't worry. You know, your attitude is, I'll sort that out. Don't worry. You don't panic. You don't go, oh God, I've got it, you know, oh no, God, I'm really bad. Oh, I'm really down this month, and you're down in the doldrums, because people just have to understand money. Money is just an energy that is just liquid. It's almost like liquid, isn't it? I mean, it's just literally a transaction. I mean, it's an energy from a transaction from one thing to another. That's what it is. That's how we made it. That's how it was from going back thousands of years ago, when it wasn't even notes then. It was trading. It was trading commodities, you know, whether it was a cow or some livestock, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Those kind of things. So you understand. So we have to understand. Now we've made it today into notes and everything, and then we have to go to the point where it's almost to the point, and we know people are so. It's crazy the way things are about money and things, especially when we talk about. Yeah, go on.
And the other thing, Gary, that people don't understand is, I learned this with Robert Kiyosaki, is that the world things that human being have created is called a paycheck. That is the most sinister thing people have created out there. When that really go you, when you live from paycheck to paycheck, you don't have a life.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
that's right. That's right.
There is a particular podcast that I'm listening to, and the guy was saying how we're so caught up in paying our subscriptions. People have maybe an Amazon subscription because they want to see certain movies. So why not sacrifice, forget about the subscriptions, and invest the 30 or 40 pounds
there you go
every month into a broker account, you know, so you can do investments every week. Because I get paid weekly because I work for an agency. Or if you're working paycheck to paycheck, when you get paid at the end of the month, pay yourself first, invest the money and compound it over a period of time. But we're all growing up. Oh, we're going to pay subscription. Investments. Oh, I don't want investments. I haven't got time for investments.
That's
but
right.
We're still caught up in being a consumer.
The consumer world is there. But that's just, and again, we are trapped by that, as you know, because of what we see on TV. It's thrown at you, it's blasted at you like you want to, and these advertisers are so good at it. They know how to get to people's minds, right? So if you're not really, when you're not conscious of it, you're not even aware that what they're doing every time they come and doing those adverts every time, it's at the forefront. It becomes the forefront of your mind. That to the point where when you do something, you go, oh, you know, and you don't even realize you're going to go, oh, I'd love to watch what, you know, go get a subscription to that because I want to watch so and so. Do you know what I mean? I've done it. You know what I mean? So, and really and truly, you don't really need to, but we're forced to do it because we're so much into these, how would you say, the immediate gratification.
Yeah. Gab, there's a question for you. Question for Gabriel. What is your definition of financial freedom? Then Ricardo.
My definition of financial freedom, yes, I can say what it is, having income, right? Having income. It doesn't have, and when I say income, it doesn't have to be, you know, millions of dollars. It's income that basically sustains your lifestyle. Whether your lifestyle is just taking it easy, going for on holidays every now and again, not whatever, seeing friends, having a nice social life, and like whatever that is, having the freedom to do that without actually worrying about income, because income is, to me, is no object. Money is no object. It just, it's there. That's income. and that's my financial. And I'm able to do all the things that I want to do, and what makes me feel, I guess, whole as a person, right? So whatever it's in, and then even to give back, visit, all those sorts of things. Whatever your desires or your passions are, you're able to actually do those while money's no object. That's what I call financial freedom. Yeah.
Gabs, what's the average salary for an Australian?
Oh, it's about $47,000.
Right. Okay. And what's that equal to in pounds?
So that will be about 20.
Or 20.
Yeah, about 20. Let's look at it because it's now gone, I think. But I'll say about 29.
Wow. Right. Okay.
29. I think that's the average, isn't it? In the
UK, 24. 24.
Yeah, there you go. 20. Yeah. So on par. Yeah, 20. I'll say about 20. Yeah, 28. Because I'm looking at the exchange rate now.
Right.
And so it's around about 20. I was thinking about 28, 20, but yeah, 24 might be around there. But 25, I'd say on average, 25,000 pounds is equivalent of what it is over here. Here, that's the average salary.
Right. Ricardo, for you, definition of financial freedom.
Alex, I have to go with a couple of things not a couple of things. I mean, everything Gravy was said before about the this is money, just money that you need to do the things that you want to do. And again, so everything revolves in the same circle. For me, is time. Having that time in my hands to do every single thing I want to do. I don't know, wake up at the time I want to wake up, go and see friends, dedicate my life in a different direction. But it's all about, for me, it's that time. When you have that time in your hands, you are free. You are free to fly.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be due to having that economy, having that income that I wanna free you. Now you can take decisions because money will give you opportunities, the possibility to take decisions, but it's just having that time for me is my definition of financial freedom. Waking up, I want to wake up, calling, or I want to make a phone call, jumping on a plane and going to places. I don't know, that's my definition. It's that time. When you can control the time, when you have time, you are free.
So based on what you said, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, time. Now, on addition to that, what you're saying there is that what's going to happen is that once you've got I said you don't have to worry about going to work to go from paycheck to paycheck, and then you'll get an income that enables you to have the time to do the things. What you said, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Well,
there you go.
Alex, people forget one thing, and this is something I learned on the way. Retirement has nothing to do with the age. Right? People say, "Oh, I need to work until I am 60." No, you have to, because you haven't got the income. When you have the income, you can retire tomorrow. Finish. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's all about that. And then you're free. So,
yeah, no, that's right. I mean, we talked about that, I think, a few weeks back about, obviously working to your, to retirement age. And I think, I want to look at that and I go, why do you want to work to retirement age? Their perceived retirement age. Why do you want to do that? What about while you're young, you're still agile and enjoying, you're still full of life. Why don't you want to enjoy it? You know what I mean? That's the financial freedom there. You want to enjoy the fruits of your, what you've done over the years and say, right, now let me go and do what I want to. Now I've got time. Let me have the time now because I don't have to worry about going to work and blah, blah, blah. And then do what I need, do all the things that I want to do. Wow. That's that's right. Do it.
But unfortunately, Gabs, again, I'm not coming down on people who work the 9 to 5 because I'm still working a 9 to 5 until the end of this year where I'm going to go into semi-retirement.
Work towards it.
Work towards it. But if you've not been taught about what it means to be financially free and investing money in stock, shares, or real estate, And of course, you're going to work until the retirement age, which is 67
Right.
here in the UK, because you don't know any different.
Yeah,
And that's the problem. Financial, educate, up level your knowledge about what it means to be financially free. If you're not worried about that, if you've had that for your family and your history, then you're going to work until you're 60, maybe in your 70s, because you don't know anything different.
Yeah. And look, when you think about it, and I'll have this conversation with certain people, and I say, look, I'm a child of an immigrant parent, right? Or immigrant parents. They came over when they came over to the UK. For them, when I'm thinking they're coming from Nigeria, and from where they came from, where it was to them it was like, wow, this is the land of opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't even about, they weren't thinking about investments and things like that. They were thinking about getting a job, earning an income, and getting an income, and with a nice roof, a nice house, nice house, you know what I mean, nice house, nice family, good, eat food, everything. That was then to them, that was a massive step, right? That's a massive step.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we started to educate. I mean, obviously they told us, and we went to school, and school told us this is what the plan. But funny enough, because of the freedom of information now we have, we started to educate ourselves to understand. Okay, what you said, parents, I get it. Yes, I understand. Hard work does pay off, and blah blah blah, and you can get to a certain point. But if you want to take it to the next level, this is what you need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now we talk about not just a paycheck to paycheck. We want to get to the point where we invest in, in certain things in order for us to give us that passive income. That's the ideal. My parents didn't know about it when I was doing certain things other than work. He said to me, he goes, son, what are you doing? He says, you got such a good job. Why are you chasing? He said to me, he said, you're never going to be someone who's going to be so wealthy with the way you're chasing the thing. I said, and I looked at him. I didn't say anything. I just went, okay, well, I hear what you're saying. I couldn't. It was not a conversation I could have with him because he'd never understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how I was. And I just had this dream, and all I knew is that I didn't want to be doing a paycheck to paycheck for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
that's all I knew.
But Gabs, does that come down to as well cultural values? Because like you said there, my parents, all they knew this was about working hard, leveraging your time to get what you want. If you want a house or a car, you got to work for it. There's only towards like in the 80s where you could buy some stocks and shares, but thank God my grandmother and my mum, they bought some shares in the 1980s.
There you go.
But I'm looking at the situation with my son. My son Gabriel has his own construction company, and he's doing very, very well.
There you go.
Very well.
And you got your son. There you go. There you go, Alex. You got your son who's got a construction bid. I got my son who's got his own product-based business. You know what I mean? He's got his own thing and he's working it. Do you know what I mean? So what I've learned, it's almost like saying, don't do what I started with because my parents said this is the thing to work hard. I teach you now, yes, son, you understand work. You did it while you were at school and you had your part-time job. Now you saw what it was. And you realize how much time you would have to in order to make him. Now you've gone to your own business and seen what you're at stake. You know what I mean? So that's it. So he's now understanding it. So it's all about obviously passing your knowledge down to certain, like your the next generation, and then how to do
It's what I'm saying. I mean, I think now because we are being exposed to different things, we have educated ourselves. The narrative now change.
Yeah,
the narrative change now.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and that's another very good point. Absolutely,
that's it. It changed now.
Yeah, very good point. The narrative that it has changed. It's shifted now, right? Because the job, jobs are not like they used to be. Where people used to work back then, back in the day when I started, where they worked for years and years and years,
Yeah.
and they used to say, then they get the gold watch.
Well, yeah.
At the
Well,
end
that
of the
got
day,
so
when you get the gold watch
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the years that you worked for that company, right? Because you're giving them all your years, and you've been steady. It's been steady. You've been working for them. They've looked after you. Blah blah blah. It is not like it is not today.
No.
Today, people jump from jobs to jobs because things move so fast. Technology changes. The market changes. All that it just happens. Yeah, so fast.
Yeah. Well, I think Les Brown did say it's the age of the entrepreneur, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to be an entrepreneur to get the things that you want to get. You know what I mean? But Ricardo, you know, we're talking about how life was for us over here in the UK. How was it, you know, for Cubans?
Oh man, it's pretty much it was said that the same. I mean, my dad was a sport man. The only thing that he knew was what he knew. Mom was an educator. She was a teacher. But I don't remember no one in my family having any financial education or having any. My mom never have saving in the bank. Never have saving in the bank. My dad neither. He used to work, and I give the money to my mom, and we used to live from month to month. You know, is that explain? I have my clothes to go to. I mean, my own clothes, my school clothes. I have my toys, stuff like that. But it wasn't never an abundance of money or anything saying, "Oh no, we are saving to do this, to do that." No. In my household, my parents weren't educated about financial things, so I was never exposed to anything to do with financial bit or any talk about money around the dinner table. No, nothing like that. I learned all of that when I came over here. I started seeing things, and then I was curious and made decisions that lead me to be surrounded by people like you guys. Well, for different reasons, you're my cousin, get with our friends, but it all happened because of a decision that I made around myself. Where I said, listen, no, it needs to be.
Yeah.
Let me read the book. It's the same thing you were saying, but I can't blame my parents for what they did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Good point, man.
Good point. You can't blame. Listen, I respect and I also thank my parents what they did.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the step that they made, rather to move from the village that they were from and then go to on the ship to London.
Yeah.
Or to London, a totally unknown land, and face the crap that they did when they arrived. Wow! In order for us to be educated here and get where we are, listen.
Yeah.
It's all in God's plan, isn't it? That's why I look at it.
Yeah. Oh, Ricardo. Yeah, the comment of the podcast, man. Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, as a parent, your duty is to, of course, provide warmth, shelter, and food for your children, but also educate them so they have a better life than you ever had. Expose them to the information. Expose them, to the mistakes, because we all make mistakes.
Correct.
But I never ever blame my parents for not for my ignorance. That was down to me. It's down to me. It's not down to my parents. They did everything possible to get me to this point.
They did
never ever blame my parents. Man.
They did everything based on what they knew.
Of course, yeah.
That's it.
Against the odds, man. Against the odds.
You know what I mean? Yeah, face the odds, exactly.
But Ricardo, so Malika, does she want to be an entrepreneur or?
Yeah, she's so at the moment she enjoys her cooking. She's a good cook. I mean, it's coming down to, and even though we go into sports or we are into sports, she's always, I would love to cook. I say, yeah, but you think about own your own restaurant, right? If you're gonna don't cook for somebody else.
Yeah.
At least your future family. But we talk. But again, it's a different talk. We talk about things. She explored different things, and again, it's a different narrative. You can see what her mom is doing, setting out her own, practice, and how things shift. But I think she's kind of brought up in the right environment now. She's exposed to different things related to financial education. So she would get all the gypsies and stuff. He would go and do her own things. She would probably fail, which is fine. The beginning is way of learning, probably no, who knows. But I guarantee you that she will try to find her own way because what was now and what she. So.
Yeah. Well, she has a great dad. So you know what I mean. That's a great start. You know what I mean. Gabs, there's a question there for you, man. I think they're talking about the cash flow quadrant. Is this book you recommend, Gabriel? Yeah, absolutely. Without question.
Without question, you'll be inspired by that book. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah.
One way to really start yourself thinking about you think about money. From there, you will think about money in a different perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And your incomes and your liabilities. Because again, just going back to the part he's talking about the house. Your house is your biggest liability. I was thinking, what? I said, oh my goodness, I never saw it that way.
Just things in there that he mentioned, and you go, "What? It's, oh my gosh, yeah, I really, yeah." Do you know what I mean? You put the book down and go, and you put the book down and go. I've been thinking about that all my years, and I thought that was. Nah. And the reason, and the thing is, he was criticized when he wrote this book, and he put this book out. He was criticized. He was criticized. People didn't like the how would you say? I would say the powers that be. Let's say the banks and a lot of those traditional financial people looked at his book and they literally rebuked it. They really did because it was telling the truth. The system. As he said, the system is. He just said the system's broken. It's just what he mentions in there. He said this is what it is, and this is how you need to think, and they did not like what he's writing there. But when you read that, you know it's true. What he's writing it absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
It gives you a different perspective. But again, definitely, if you're going to ask me, I'd recommend this book. I recommend it highly.
There you go.
We have come to an end on this particular podcast. I have done a video on a separate platform about books, my favorite books, and this is actually this book features in that particular podcast, which is going to be live in about 2 hours' time over here in England. The next podcast we're going to be doing is going to be led by Ricardo about habits, good habits, bad habits, and all those kind of habits. And I know, man. We all have good habits and bad habits, man.
We all have bad habits. Oh my goodness me! I think it just reminds me of a song that someone wrote. Someone sang. She's obviously passed as well. So, but anyway, yeah.
All right, okay. All right. Ricardo, again, quality, man. Primo, quality stuff.
No, guys, look at this. I don't know how you're gonna pay Grevio, but you need to pay. You need to say something.
As I say, we pay each other in kind. That's all right. It's all good.
Just sharing the knowledge. Sharing the knowledge is enough down payment, man.
Brilliant. No, I love it.
Yeah, brilliant. So that's it. So make sure you tune in same time, same place, a different day when we talk about your habits. Do you have good habits that make you a good person or a bad person, or you don't really care? Anyway, this has been. It's actually, before we go, what is the name of the podcast? We haven't thought about a name, have we?
No, we haven't got a name yet.
Yeah, we got to have one right. You're gonna have it by next the next podcast, right? We're gonna have a next one, right?
Okay.
We're gonna have the name. We're gonna have the name by then, right? Okay. So, and the thing is, it's gonna be as soon as we start the thing, the name's gonna be there on the screen, on top of the screen in big letters. What that name is.
Yeah, all right. There's been 10 people watching, so I've got 10 witnesses. Next week, we're going to have a new name for the podcast.
Definitely.
All right, people, that's it. Enjoy your weekends, whatever you're going to do. But above anything else, be kind and don't, just read books, and actually use the information that you've read in the books and apply the knowledge you've learned. Gabriel, Ricardo, thank you for your time, and we'll be back next week. Take care.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks.
All right.